Oh, one subject that I get asked a lot about is fitness and age. Now, if there's one area that has zero controversy when it comes to longevity, that is that if you look at anything, smoking, diet, all that kind of stuff that we normally associate with a healthy lifestyle, the number one shift you can do that would cut all-cause mortality by faster than anything else is exercise. When it comes to health and fitness at any age, I'm now in my 50s, and one of the things I love to do is to take on extreme challenges. The reason for that is several-fold. The first is that it redefines what you are capable of. Let's just say a half marathon for some of you is a big goal. But if you were to go and do it over the next few months, and that was a goal, it's not about the half marathon. It's about two things. One, who do you need to become in order to complete a half marathon? You become somebody who does things that you need to do even when you don't feel like it. And that is training yourself, not just get out of a comfort zone, but redefine the edge of where your comfort zone is. And that is a powerful thing. It's not about the half marathon anymore. It's about who do you need to become? Who is the person that's going to cross that finish line? What discipline muscle will you have built? Not just about working out, not just about doing it for ego or to tick some bucket list or to try to prove to the world you're good enough. That's all bullshit reasons. If you really want to go and have health, vitality, energy at any age, fitness is an amazing vehicle to be able to do that with by continually stretching beyond your comfortable grass. Now for me, because I've continually pushed that boundary, then I keep pushing it further. And what used to be tough, I remember the first half marathon that I ran, a few decades ago. I was like, oh my God, that was insane. You mean a full marathon is double that? Now, I'm off to run a marathon in a few months at the North Pole, and I'm not even that worried about it. Why? Because it's only one marathon. Back in 2003, when I ran the Marathon des Sables, which is a marathon a day, back-to-back for 7 days across the Sahara Desert, with day 4 being a double marathon of 52 miles or 84 kilometers. Compared to that, I look at the North Pole Marathon, I'm like, it's going to be an amazing experience, but it's nothing really to push. I mean, you can walk it in 7 hours. What ultra endurance does, or what pushing yourself does, it gives you a contrast frame for moving forward in your life. After I ran the ultra marathon in the Sahara, I would ask myself questions like, well, hang on a minute. If I can handle running across the Sahara, how upsetting is it going to be if the bank puts up interest rates? Or if I can handle running hundreds of kilometers across the most inhospitable terrain in the world, then it's not going to be much of an issue when sales aren't performing at the end of the month and I'm worried about cash flow. I mean, come on. So your contrast frame muscle that you're building is a powerful way to move forward in life, recalibrating for yourself what's possible. Now, my next challenge, I'm actually participating in what is known as the world's toughest row. Now, this is a whole different animal, even by my standards. And what that involves is taking an ocean-going rowing boat. And me and my colleague, good childhood friend, are going to row from the Canary Islands of La Gomera, which is where Christopher Columbus set off to discover the New World. And we're going to row across the ocean to Antigua as part of the world's toughest row event. Now, this happens every year, and I've been following this event for a while. And why would I do that in my 50s? Again, for those reasons I just explained. Now, what is possible? How can you define your next level of how to really look back on your life and think, wow, if I can do that, what else is possible? Now, for me, if I explain a little bit about this race, you'll start to get an understanding. And by the way, we're looking to raise a couple of $1 million for mental health awareness and charities that we're super excited about. That's one aspect of it. But if you look at what's involved, you run a marathon, if you're a pro, it's 3 hours. If you're average, it's going to be 4 hours. If you're plodding along, it's going to be 5 hours. You run an ultra marathon like the Marathon des Sables, like the Eco Challenge, 7 to 10 days of continuously high level output. One of the most toughest of races in the world, televised, is the Tour de France. Now that's 21 days of grueling every single day. Now the world's toughest row is where I'm actually going to be rowing on the ocean, not in a nice flat calm gym on a machine, where swells are going to be up to 3 meters high. And I'm going to be rowing for 2 hours, right, which is about the amount of time it takes for the lactic acid to get to a stage where then if I rest for 2 hours, the body can process. So rowing for 2 hours, resting for 2 hours. And while I'm resting, Lee will be rowing. So there's always somebody on the oars 24/7. So that's rowing, resting, 24/7, 2 hours on, 2 hours off for 2 months, unsupported. In fact, I'm not even allowed to hold up a t-shirt to dry in case they class that as wind assistance. It's all got to be manual. Now, why would you go do that? That's a great question. I'm sure I'm going to be asking that question many times during the race. There's 3 reasons. A, I want to be able to redefine for myself what is possible. I teach self-mastery. My students follow the whole principle of developing self-mastery. Why? Because self-mastery beats knowledge mastery all day long. So many people here on YouTube, or in personal growth, spending money, investing time, effort, resources, sucking up screen time to try to learn some new skill to teach them that they think is the secret to going to become wealthy, happy, whatever. Forget that. You don't need any more skills. You've got all the skills you need. What you don't have is the self-mastery of being able to apply those skills when you're facing uncertainty, rejection, fear, self-sabotage, poor relationship to money. You get the idea. If I teach self-mastery and my students, smash through those boundaries over a period of time by focusing on different things in the inner world. So my level of self-mastery is much greater now than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and hopefully not as great as it's going to be 5, 10, 20 years from now, because that is the journey we're taking. But this particular race really is about redefining for me my own limits of where I am in my life. So if you imagine that 4 weeks into the race, I'm in the middle of the Atlantic. The nearest land is 4 to 6 kilometers beneath me. I haven't seen another soul other than my boatmate for a couple of weeks. And it's midnight. The swells are up. I'm feeling seasick. I've not slept for probably 22 hours because of the way the boat's going. I've got sores on my hands. And now the alarm goes off and I've got to go out into the darkness in a rough sea and row backwards for the next 2 hours. Now at that moment, that's when my mind, just as yours does, we all do, is going to give you every single excuse, because your mind's job is to justify your current emotional state. If you're tired and the alarm goes off, it'll come up with the excuse to press the snooze button. If you're angry, it'll come up with the reason why you shouldn't apologize. So your mind is an expert at creating trapdoors for your resolve to fall through so that you don't step into your greatness. It will convince you that life is a comfort-centric experience rather than a growth-centric experience. And those 2 paths will lead to 2 very different lives. And I know that's going to happen. It's going to be a time, midnight, 2, 3 in the morning, when that alarm goes off and the very last thing on the planet that I want to do is go out and do my 2-hour stint on the oars. But that's where I want to be. I want to find out, what have I got at that point? What can I do that's bigger than the excuses of my mind? Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'll quit. Maybe I'll just have a meltdown. I'm sure there's going to be times along those 2 months, something like that will happen. But steel is not forged in an ice tray. It's forged in a furnace. I don't care if I make it, if I don't. I just want to find out where on the totem pole of self-mastery do I currently sit for myself on my own journey. A question I would invite you to look at too. The second reason is that you should be able to raise a bucket load of money for good causes, including Hounds for Heroes, because I'm a dog guy, which really supports people from the emergency services and veterans who have suffering PTSD or been medically injured or sick in service, and they train dogs to be able to help. Anyone knows me, knows my work, knows I love my dogs. We're also raising money for the Royal Marines Association, because my partner Lee had a full career in the Royal Marines, so he's rowing for that cause. Again, something bigger than us. That's where inspiration comes from. You look at any marathon, more people finish a marathon or a half marathon or a fun run for the first time running for a bigger cause than them, than their ego and trying to get a medal to show off to their friends. And then the third reason, another reason I'm making this video, is hopefully at that level of extremity, that level of extreme challenge for someone in their 50s, will inspire other people to row their own race, not across the Atlantic. For so many people, their race could be their first 5K. Their race could be saying sorry for the first time in a relationship rather than being committed to being right rather than happy. Your row across the Atlantic may be actually leaving a relationship that you know doesn't serve you or your partner, but you haven't had the courage to do it because you would rather be certain and unhappy than risk uncertainty and go for fulfillment to find someone who truly cares and values you. And if I can inspire one person to be able to do that through 2 months of going through the most challenging race on earth, then for me, that will be worth as much as all the money we get to raise. What are your reasons? It may not be raising money. It may not be proving to anyone or even yourself. Maybe it's just about saying, you know something? I want to live longer and have fun with my grandkids so I can kick a ball around with them when they're old enough to play football. And to do that, I need to treat my body, my biological partner, this incredible meat-covered skeleton made of stardust that houses this spirit called me. And I know that if I treat that with a level of respect, then it is pre-programmed to go and return with a better version of itself every single time. That could be your row across the Atlantic, your reason. What are some of the things that you want to challenge yourself with, either physically or otherwise? Leave some comments below. If you like the channel, please subscribe and follow this journey over the next 12 months as we prepare to be able to take on the Atlantic in a way that hopefully adds value to millions of people long after I hang up the oars. Thank you guys, love you so much. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and let's go inspire other people with who we can become on our journey to greatness.